When we talk about imperative sentences, we often think of direct commands or requests. But what happens when we shift those sentences into passive voice? Let's dive into the fascinating world of passive constructions, particularly focusing on requests and advice. First, let's consider the structure of passive voice. In English, we typically form the passive voice using a form of the verb, to be followed by the past participle of the main verb. For example, if we take the imperative sentence, "Please submit your report," in passive voice, it transforms into, "Your report should be submitted." Here, should be indicates a recommendation or advice, suggesting that submitting the report is the right action to take. Now, let's break down the two structures we're discussing, should be and you are requested. The phrase should be is used to express what is advisable or necessary. It's a gentle nudge towards the right action. For instance, the documents should be reviewed before the meeting. This implies that reviewing the documents is not just a suggestion, it's something that ought to happen. On the other hand, you are requested is a more formal way of making a request. It carries a sense of obligation or expectation. For example, you are requested to attend the meeting at 10 a.m. This sentence conveys a clear expectation that attendance is important. It's a polite way to assert that the action is necessary without sounding too forceful. When forming these passive structures, remember that the subject of the sentence receives the action rather than performing it. This is a key characteristic of passive voice. In our examples, the focus shifts from the doer to the action itself. This can be particularly useful in formal writing or situations where the doer is unknown or less relevant. Now, let's touch on invitations in passive form. Invitations can also be expressed passively, which adds a layer of formality. Instead of saying, "You are invited to the party," you could say, "Guests are invited to the party." This shifts the focus from the individual to the group, making it sound more inclusive and formal. In summary, using passive voice for imperative sentences allows us to convey requests and advice in a more nuanced way. Whether we're using should be to suggest what ought to happen or you are requested to indicate a necessary action, these structures help us communicate effectively and politely. And when it comes to invitations, passive constructions can elevate the tone, making it sound more sophisticated. Understanding these forms not only enhances our language skills, but also enriches our communication, making it more versatile and engaging.